Alright folks, thanks for joining again this week. Today we are working on a portrait of a model. She goes by the name of April Pants Cosplay. Highly recommend you check her out. Put her link in the description below, or at least her Instagram handle. You can go follow her there and all the other places. But today we're working on a Spider Gwen type shoot. She calls this the shiny suit, so we went out and took some photos of this over the weekend. It was really cold, and these things are not warm, so props to her for dealing with that, but we got some cool shots out of it. So this one we're working on right now, we're going to keep it fairly basic. We're not going to get too crazy with it, not a lot of Photoshop, at least a lot of not special effects. We're just going to make a nice, simple cosplay portrait. So the first thing I'll do when I work on something like this is I open it here in Camera Raw like we have it right now, and I'll make just the sliders. These are just like the ones in Lightroom or any other editing program that you may use. That's all basically the same thing. I have already hopped in here and I moved my temperature down a bit. I'll put it back to where it was. So it's a little warmer, so we're going to cool it off. I think this photo works better cool, especially since it's a spider person. There's always blues and comic booky looking blue for these characters. Some of the later shots in the set that I'll post later have the sunset in them and all that fun stuff, so those will be warm because we did shoot this at golden hour. So when you shoot at golden hour, you tend to get some warmth. So let's just go down the line here. We're going to bump our contrast up a bit just to give that little bit of pizzazz. Highlights we're going to increase just a bit. Probably it's about there. I think the shadows we're going to go, well, let's do the blacks first. We're going to move the blacks down quite a bit. I want that punchy, dark contrast look. And then we're going to lower the shadows some, probably to about there. Hit these a little harder. We're going to go nuts with it. How's that sound? Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Bump the dehaze just no, we're not going to do that. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I'll work on the details. I shot this with my Sony A7III, so it does a great job of the eye focusing. But, and so as you can see, it's really sharp right on her face. But we're still going to work on the sharpening and the noise reduction because it's never perfect. You can always make it a little better. There we go. And then just to add emphasis onto her, we're going to throw a vignette on this quite a bit. We're going to be harsh with it. There we go. So see, it keeps her bright, but everything back there darkens up. Really pulls your attention to her. So I think we're going to leave it with that. So we're going to go ahead and open this in Photoshop and make some more adjustments. So the first thing that I'll do when I bring it out of Camera Raw is I will go through and just correct anything in the photo I don't really want to see or don't like. So a lot of times that's like, you know, skin imperfections, maybe they have a blemish that day or something of that sort, or the background, or there's something wrong with the clothes. It could be anything. I just go through and kind of clean it up. So for example, on her suit, I'm going to fix this little seam thing that's sticking out. There we go. That looks good. So we'll move up. Now the thing with these spider suits, I've shot enough of them to know as they get older, they get snags in this material. You can see a little fuzzy, so you gotta go through and clean them up. But this is a brand new one, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, the suit looks phenomenal. She looks good. We're still going to smooth out her skin tones, but she doesn't really need much, to be honest. So let's see. We're going to go through, I think we're just going to clean up some of the background. We've got these spots in the concrete. I mean, technically I could leave it. These shots are going to wind up on Instagram or Twitter or wherever. And so on social media, people really aren't going to see this stuff, but I'm going to see it. that's just gonna bug me, so we're fixing it. Yep, that one didn't work out so good. So instead of we're just gonna patch it. About like that. And look what I did there, it's terrible. There we go. Nice and smooth. Okay. So let's scroll down, see what else we can find. Feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to watch this. The next thing I'm going to do is just smoothing out the skin tones on her face, so you can probably skip ahead. I'm new at YouTube, so if I know how to add like a link, I will, but I guarantee you I probably won't. So if you're waiting for that to pop up on the screen, you're probably going to be disappointed. So I'm just going to clean it up a bit. I think that's probably good. Let's zoom out. There we go. Yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that. We're not going to, well, what the heck's going on with this? Like copper wire or whatever the hell that is. We shot this in a kind of an abandoned industrial area. Great for superhero shots. I mean, perfect. That's what you want when you're photographing superheroes. And generally I don't have to mess with it at all, but sometimes you still have to clean up the area. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So let's work on the skin tones. So the first thing I'll do is clean up any blemishes that she may have, but she really doesn't. So we're just going to smooth out some of the colors, because sometimes the flash, it highlights the differences in color on the skin that you really wouldn't see otherwise. I'll probably fix this here because you see how the flash added that depth that I really don't want. A lot of times I fix the model's makeup as well. Hers looks pretty good, and she's got these sparkly glitter things on her. She's really brave putting glitter on her face like that. Oh my gosh. If I did that, I'd find glitter in my house for the next 20 years. Clean some of the lipstick off the teeth, because, you know, lipstick just does that. My wife, she's griped about that very thing before. Let's fix a couple more things here. Little specks of dust or whatever. Gonna smooth out the skin there. We got a little bit. Okay. Call that good. So, why did I zoom out? I don't know. We're gonna fix this light thing that the flash did. So we're gonna just circle it. It's real easy with the match tool. Go down to where skin is kind of smooth, and boom. It doesn't look nearly as pronounced. That's just to help offset what light does. Okay, we'll call that good. So my next step would be frequency separation. Although I'm going to do it the lazy man's way because I have a filter for that. So we'll go down to the Nik collection, pull it open, let it load, and it's already set on it because it's almost the only thing I use this for. But it's the dynamic skin softener. What it does is I use it to help even out the skin tones. I don't like to get rid of the texture, you know, like a real heavy Snapchat filter would. But this just evens it out. So if I take the slider over, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can on YouTube if the resolution's good enough, but it just smooths out the colors while keeping the texture of her face. So she still looks like a human, but her skin is more the color is more smooth or more even. When I shoot with a flash, I'll do this. A lot of times when I shoot in natural light, it really doesn't matter. I don't have to, but the flash just highlights so many things, depending on which flash you use. I used a fairly large one here. I used a Flashpoint, like 8600 I think it is, in front, with a 42-inch modifier, so it's pretty smooth as it is, but it still does a little bit of that. Okay, I like that. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go through and we are going to fix my spider web. I made this out of rope. Just went out and bought some rope on Amazon. So we're going to use the liquefy tool and made a really big jig out of some PVC pipe and spent a few hours doing this. I had a friend help me because it's kind of monotonous to do all by yourself. Because I'm a genius, obviously. I picked a real windy day to make this thing, and how I did it was I would wrap the rope out around like I did there, but then I would take a lighter and I would melt it together. So that way, when I'm dragging this thing around, I don't have to worry about the ropes coming apart. I made one back in the day that was not melted in that manner, and it worked okay, but this one is definitely much better. The only thing I'm sad about with this one is I wish that it was UV light reactive, because trust me, I've tried. But I think someday I might spray paint it with some UV paint and do some fun creative stuff. So I kind of like that. Yeah, we're going to go with that. I think the spiderweb looks good enough for a spiderweb made out of rope, right? Okay, so we're pretty much done, because remember, we're keeping this as a fairly simple, basic portrait. We are going to cool this off a bit, and I think we can do that with some color grading. So let's go back to camera raw. This is just a real quick, easy way to do it. I know there's fancier ways, but I don't get that wrapped up in all that. So let's cool this off a bit. But I want it to be a more blue color. So we're going to kind of move this around here a bit. Not green. Ooh, I like that. That is awesome. Nice and blue. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's a nice picture warm, but I think the coolness really fits the spider character. Spider Gwen, I guess you should call her. Yeah, there we go. That's awesome. Hit OK. There it is. I think we're going to leave it with that. I'll post some more later that has the sun. We'll get into sun flares and colors and textures, but for now, for a beginning, I think this is a nice basic one to start with. So thank you for watching, and just stick around. We'll have some more. I guarantee it.